Luxury cars are built to scream power, but when control disappears, they become weapons on wheels. Tonight, we uncover real supercar crashes where speed, ego, alcohol, and privilege turned million-dollar dreams into deadly nightmares. Some victims never touched the wheel. Others had only seconds to react. Buckle up. These machines don't forgive mistakes, and danger strikes without warning. Linggu. Before sunrise on March 18, 2012, Beijing's North 4th Ring Road was nearly empty. Then a black Ferrari 458 Spider ripped through the darkness, its engine echoing between the concrete walls like a warning siren. Behind the wheel was 23-year-old Linggu, the only son of one of China's most powerful political figures. Two young women were inside the car with him. What happened in those final moments remains buried beneath rumors. Extreme speed, distraction, reckless confidence, and the dangerous belief that wealth and influence could protect them from anything. But physics does not care who your father is. Near Baofusi Bridge, the Ferrari lost control and slammed into a concrete barrier at devastating speed. Linggu died at the scene. One passenger was also killed, while the other survived with life-changing injuries. A crash involving a politician's son and a $500,000 supercar should have dominated every headline. Instead, the story began disappearing. Photos vanished from Chinese websites. Search terms were blocked. Names were reportedly changed in official records. The deeper people looked, the quieter the internet became. Then came the question no one in power wanted asked. How could the son of a government official afford a Ferrari worth more than most people earn in a lifetime? 5 months later, his father's political rise abruptly ended. The crash was never fully explained, but Beijing remembered the sound of that Ferrari. The night speed, privilege, and secrecy collided, leaving behind a truth even power could not completely erase. Hisny Kestaj and Anna Krayevskaya. On the afternoon of March 31, 2024, a white Ferrari GTC4 Lusso thundered across northern Italy's A4-A5 highway like a missile wrapped in luxury. Behind the wheel was Hisny Kestaj, a well-known DJ in Europe's nightlife scene. Beside him sat 21-year-old Ukrainian model Anna Krayevskaya. Only hours earlier, they had been surrounded by flashing lights, loud music, and crowded clubs. Now, the party was over, but the adrenaline was still climbing. Witnesses believed the Ferrari was traveling close to 200 kilometers per hour. At that speed, every curve becomes a threat. Every movement becomes a gamble, and one tiny mistake can turn a supercar into a deadly trap. Near Alice Castello, Kestage suddenly lost control. The Ferrari smashed into a guardrail with such force that the vehicle split apart and burst into flames. Emergency crews arrived quickly, but the front section of the car had been completely destroyed. There was no chance to save either occupant. Identifying them became another grim challenge. Kestage was linked to the wreck through a gold watch found near the driver's seat. Anna's identity was later confirmed through DNA testing after her friends reported her missing. A second watch, visible in her social media photos, helped investigators connect her to the crash. Authorities found no mechanical defect, no dangerous road condition, and no outside vehicle responsible. only speed. Two young lives disappeared in seconds, leaving behind grieving families, shocked followers, and a brutal warning. When a high-performance machine is pushed beyond control, it does not offer second chances. Sophia Naismith. At 9:50 p.m. on June 22, 2019, 15-year-old Sophia Naismith was walking beside her best friend, Jordan Kalia, through the quiet Adelaide suburb of Glengarry. They were talking about school, volleyball, and a future that seemed safely ahead of them. Sophia was a gifted athlete, already chosen to represent South Australia at a national volleyball tournament. She was on the sidewalk, exactly where she was supposed to be. Then came the sound. A white Lamborghini Huracan roared down Morfett Road, its engine tearing through the peaceful night. Behind the wheel was 37-year-old Alexander Campbell. The Lamborghini's safety systems had been disabled, and the car was placed into sport mode, releasing enormous power onto an ordinary suburban street. Seconds later, the Lamborghini suddenly left the road. It jumped the curb, struck both girls, and crashed into a nearby restaurant. Sophia was killed at the scene. Jordan survived with serious injuries, but the consequences of that night would follow her long after the sirens stopped. The community was shattered. Flowers covered the sidewalk. Thousands attended memorials. At Sophia's school, lessons gave way to grief. Prosecutors argued that Campbell understood the danger of the machine he was controlling. Yet years later, he avoided a conviction for causing Sophia's death and received only a suspended sentence. But Sophia's family refused to let her become another forgotten statistic. They fought for stronger restrictions on high-powered vehicles, helping create what became known as Sophia's Law. One reckless moment stole her future, but her name forced an entire system to confront a terrifying truth. When extreme horsepower enters a public street, innocent people can become victims before they even hear the danger coming. Kurt and Monica Villani. Just before 11:30 a.m. on November 22, 2023, traffic crawled toward the Rainbow Bridge beneath cold gray skies. Drivers waited in line, thinking about Thanksgiving dinners, family reunions, and the long road ahead. Then a silver Bentley Flying Spur came out of nowhere. In less than 30 seconds, the luxury sedan blasted down Niagara Street, ran multiple red lights, and surged toward the US-Canada border at terrifying speed. Security footage showed the car moving like a missile, slightly swerving as if the driver were fighting a machine that refused to slow down. Inside were Kurt and Monica Villani, both 53, a married couple from Grand Island, New York. They were respected business owners, generous neighbors, and parents of 2 adult children. That morning, they were reportedly heading to Toronto for a concert. They never made it. The Bentley struck a median, launched into the air, and crashed near a border inspection booth. A massive fireball erupted, sending smoke and debris across the crossing. Authorities immediately closed nearby border routes as panic spread. For a few terrifying hours, many feared the crash was an attack. Investigators later ruled out terrorism, but one question remained. Why did the Bentley accelerate so violently? Friends said Kurt had previously mentioned concerns about the gas pedal. Dark tire marks suggested he may have been braking hard, desperately trying to stop. Yet no official mechanical defect fully explained what happened. Kurt and Monica died in seconds, A border officer escaped with minor injuries. It was not intentional. It was not an attack. But it revealed something just as frightening. When extreme power escapes human control, danger does not need a motive. It only needs a few seconds. Alexander Worth. For 13-year-old Alexander Worth, it was supposed to be the greatest moment of his young life. On a quiet farm estate in Hampshire, he stood beside a Ferrari F50 worth more than $1 million, a machine he had only seen in magazines. When the owner offered him a short ride, Alexander climbed in without hesitation. To him, it felt like a dream. Behind the wheel was Matthew Cobden, an experienced car collector trusted around some of the world's most powerful vehicles. He knew the Ferrari was built with a roaring V12 engine and almost no room for mistakes. But on that narrow private road, confidence took over. Neither of them fastened a seatbelt. Moments after pulling away, Cobden pressed the accelerator. The Ferrari exploded forward, its engine ripping through the silence. At more than 40 miles per hour, the car drifted off the narrow track, struck a wooden post, and launched into the air. The dream ride became a disaster in seconds. Both occupants were thrown from the vehicle. Alexander's mother heard the crash and ran toward the wreck, only to find emergency crews unable to save her son. In court, Cobden claimed the Ferrari had suffered a mechanical failure. Investigators examined the car and found no defect. The machine had worked exactly as designed. The real failure was human judgment. A judge described the drive as an attempt to show off, to impress a child with the raw power of a car that demanded total respect. Alexander never chose the speed. He never controlled the wheel. Yet he paid the highest price. His story remains a chilling warning. When excitement replaces caution, even a dream car can become a deadly trap. Stephanie Rivera Camarena. The night began with flashing lights, laughter, and the dangerous illusion that nothing could go wrong. A neon green Lamborghini Gallardo tore through downtown San Diego, its V10 engine echoing between the buildings like an alarm no one could stop. In the passenger seat was 26-year-old Stephanie Rivera Camarena, a former beauty queen admired for her elegance, compassion, and commitment to environmental and cancer awareness causes. Behind the wheel was Michael, a wealthy entrepreneur carrying alcohol in his bloodstream and serious legal trouble in his future. That night, caution disappeared. The Lamborghini was pushed beyond 100 miles per hour through streets never designed for that kind of power. Just after 200 control vanished. The supercar jumped the curb, struck a palm tree, and slammed into a massive steel anchor before bursting into flames. Michael died at the scene. Stephanie was thrown from the vehicle and rushed to a hospital in critical condition. For days, her family and friends waited for a miracle. It never came. Investigators found no mysterious malfunction and no hidden road hazard. The cause was painfully clear: alcohol, extreme speed, and a driver who believed horsepower could outrun consequences. Stephanie's death sent shockwaves through the pageant community. Tributes remembered her not for the crash, but for the life she had built and the people she had inspired. Her story remains a brutal warning. When alcohol, ego, and a supercar collide, even an innocent passenger may have nowhere to escape. Dmitry Sherbatov. Dmitry understood fast cars better than almost anyone. At 43, he was an experienced mechanic, trusted to handle some of the most powerful machines on Russian roads. Engines did not intimidate him. Speed did not frighten him. And that confidence may have been the most dangerous thing inside the car. That day in downtown Moscow was supposed to be routine. Dmitry was transporting a Lamborghini Murcielago to a workshop. But this was no ordinary vehicle. With a massive V12 engine and explosive acceleration, the Lamborghini was built to demand respect every second it was moving. Witnesses said the supercar was traveling at extreme speed. Then, without warning, control disappeared. The Lamborghini veered across the road and slammed head-on into a metal lamppost. The impact destroyed the front of the vehicle and trapped Dmitry inside. He was killed at the scene before rescuers could reach him. A fellow mechanic riding in the passenger seat survived, but suffered severe injuries and was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Images of the wreck spread rapidly across the internet, shocking car enthusiasts around the world. Many struggled to understand how a professional mechanic, someone who knew these machines so well, could lose control so completely. But experience does not cancel physics. Dmitry's final drive revealed a terrifying truth. The moment speed becomes greater than control. Even an expert is no longer the driver. He is simply a passenger waiting for the road to decide what happens next. William Baranos. William Baranos had built the kind of life most people only dream about: money, property, influence, and a garage filled with machines designed for the ultra-rich. Among them sat his most dangerous prize, a Pagani Zonda, a $500,000 supercar powered by a screaming V12 engine. It was rare, beautiful, and brutally fast. On a quiet Sunday evening in Watford, William decided to show a young guest, Jack Harper, what the car could do. It was supposed to be a short ride, just a few minutes, nothing reckless, nothing dangerous. But the moment the Pagani entered a residential road, the engine erupted. Witnesses heard the car accelerating hard through a 30-mile-per-hour zone within seconds. The Zonda was traveling at least twice the legal limit. Then the rear of the car broke loose. The Pagani slid sideways, clipped concrete fence posts, and slammed into a metal barrier. The impact tore parts from the vehicle and brought the million-dollar machine to a violent stop. Jack survived because he was wearing a seatbelt. William was not. Investigators found no mechanical defect, no dangerous road condition, and no other vehicle responsible. The car had performed exactly as designed. The fatal failure came from speed, overconfidence, and one decision to ignore the most basic safety rule. The coroner later stated that a seatbelt would likely have saved William's life. He owned one of the most advanced cars ever built, but advanced engineering could not protect him from a simple mistake. William Baranos did not lose control because the Pagani was weak. He lost control because he believed he was stronger than the danger. Cory La Barrie. Cory La Barrie should have been celebrating the beginning of a new chapter. On the night of his 25th birthday, the rising YouTube star was surrounded by friends, attention, and millions of followers who believed his future was just getting started. He had built his online fame through humor, energy, and a personality that made strangers feel like they knew him. But before the night was over, one dangerous decision would erase everything. After hours of partying in Los Angeles, Cory climbed into the passenger seat of a McLaren 600 LT, a supercar capable of reaching terrifying speeds in seconds. Behind the wheel was tattoo artist and television personality Daniel Silva. Witnesses said alcohol had been involved, but the engine started anyway. Moments later, the McLaren accelerated through the streets of Valley Village. Then control disappeared. The car jumped the curb, destroyed a stop sign, and slammed into a tree with devastating force. Cory was rushed to the hospital, but never regained consciousness. Daniel survived the crash and was later held responsible for the fatal decision to drive. News of Cory's death spread across social media within hours. Fans who had celebrated his birthday were suddenly posting tributes. His family spoke openly about the danger of getting into a car with an impaired driver. Cory had fame, momentum, and an entire life ahead of him, but none of it could protect him from the person holding the steering wheel. His story leaves one brutal warning: when alcohol and horsepower share the same road, a single ride can become the last mistake anyone ever makes. Trevor Heitmann. At first, it looked like another high-speed disaster, but the 30 minutes leading up to the crash made this case far more disturbing. On August 23, 2018, drivers on Interstate 805 in San Diego suddenly saw a black McLaren 650S racing toward them in the wrong direction. The supercar was moving at more than 100 miles per hour. Cars swerved, horns screamed. There was nowhere to hide. Then came the impact. The McLaren collided head-on with an SUV carrying 43-year-old Eileen Pizarro and her 12-year-old daughter, Ariana. Both were killed, along with the McLaren's 18-year-old driver. Trevor Heitmann, online. Trevor was known as McSkillet, a gaming YouTuber followed by nearly 1 million people. He had built fame and money through digital entertainment. But behind the screen, his life had reportedly begun to change. What happened before the freeway collision raised even more questions. Roughly 30 minutes earlier, Trevor had driven the same McLaren through the gates of an elementary school, damaged property, and sped away. No one there was seriously injured, but witnesses knew something was dangerously wrong. Toxicology tests found no alcohol or drugs. Investigators officially classified the freeway collision as an accident, and Trevor's intentions were never conclusively established. But the danger was undeniable. In less than half an hour, a school was thrown into panic, a family was destroyed, and 3 lives were lost. Trevor's story is a terrifying reminder that when a powerful machine enters the wrong lane at extreme speed, innocent drivers may have only seconds to react, and sometimes no chance at all. Charles "Mask" Lewis Jr. Just after midnight, Newport Beach looked calm, empty streets, glowing traffic lights, and the kind of silence that makes danger feel impossible. Then 2 engines shattered the night. A red Ferrari 360 Challenge, Straydale, and a white Porsche were racing through public streets as if the city had become a private track. Behind the wheel of the Ferrari was Charles "Mask" Lewis Jr., the co-founder of Tap Out and a major force behind the rise of mixed martial arts. Charles was not a fighter, but fighters trusted him. He supported athletes before fame and money arrived, helping turn a struggling sport into a global phenomenon. That night, however, everything depended on the driver beside him. The Porsche was driven by Jeffrey David Kirby, who had been drinking. Witnesses saw the cars moving aggressively through traffic. Then Kirby lost control. The Porsche slammed into Charles's Ferrari, sending it sideways into a concrete light pole. The Ferrari broke apart under the force of the collision. Charles was trapped inside and died at the scene. His girlfriend survived, but suffered serious injuries. Kirby did not stay to help. He abandoned the wreck and fled on foot. Toxicology results later showed Charles was sober, while Kirby's alcohol level remained dangerously high, even hours after the crash. The MMA world woke to devastating news. Fighters had lost a mentor, a friend, and one of the men who helped build their sport. Charles's story carries a terrifying warning. Sometimes the greatest danger is not your own mistake. It is the reckless driver racing beside you. Elliot Dugan. At first, it looked harmless. A white Lamborghini Huracan sitting motionless at a red light before sunrise. But inside the supercar, a dangerous chain of events was about to begin. Around 5:12 in Los Angeles, police officers noticed the Lamborghini remained stopped, even after the light turned green. When they aimed a spotlight through the window, they found 51-year-old Elliot Dugan slumped behind the wheel, apparently asleep. He woke up confused but cooperative and told officers the Lamborghini was a rental. For a moment, it seemed like a routine traffic stop. Then police checked the records. The Lamborghini had been reported stolen, and Dugan was wanted on multiple felony warrants. When officers returned and ordered him out of the car, his behavior changed. He argued, refused to cooperate, and demanded his license back. Then, without warning, he hit the accelerator. The Huracan exploded into the darkness, reaching an estimated 113 miles per hour as it raced down Sherman Way. Police could not keep up. Within seconds, the stolen supercar was moving too fast for the road, the traffic, or any human reaction. At the next intersection, Dugan lost control. The Lamborghini struck the center median with tremendous force and broke apart, scattering debris across the street. The escape was over almost as quickly as it had begun. Dugan was pronounced dead at the scene. Body camera and surveillance footage later revealed the entire terrifying sequence, from a sleeping driver at a red light to a fatal high-speed decision. One stolen car, one desperate escape, one burst of horsepower. Elliot Dugan's story proves that when panic takes control of a supercar, the road may deliver the final verdict in seconds. Vedant Agarwal. Just after 2:30 a.m. on May 19, 2024, the streets of Pune were nearly empty, but a Porsche Taycan Turbo S was tearing through the darkness at a terrifying speed. Behind the wheel was Vedant Agarwal, a teenager who had reportedly spent the night drinking with friends despite being underage. A family driver was available to take him home. Vedant ignored him, took control of his father's powerful, unregistered Porsche, and turned a public road into a deadly racetrack at nearly 200 kilometers per hour. There was no time to react. At Kalyani Nagar Junction, the Porsche slammed into a motorcycle carrying two young technology professionals, Anish Awadia and Ashwini Koshta. Both lost their lives. The impact destroyed the motorcycle and brought the luxury car to a violent stop. But the crash was only the beginning. Within hours, Vedant was granted bail under conditions that included writing an essay about road safety. The decision triggered nationwide outrage. Then came allegations of delayed alcohol testing, switched blood samples, manipulated evidence, and powerful people working behind the scenes to protect him. Doctors, police officers, and members of the family were drawn into the investigation as authorities began uncovering what appeared to be an organized attempt to erase responsibility. 2 young people were gone in seconds. Yet the fight for accountability would take far longer. Vaden's case exposed a chilling truth. Speed can destroy lives instantly, but money and influence may try to bury what remains. Ryan Dunn and Zachary Hartwell. Ryan Dunn built his career by laughing in the face of danger. Millions knew him as the fearless star of Jackass, a man willing to attempt reckless stunts most people would never consider. But on June 20th, 2011, the cameras were gone. Just before 3:00 a.m., Dunn climbed behind the wheel of his Porsche 911 GT3 after spending the night at a bar in Pennsylvania. Sitting beside him was his friend, Zachary Hartwell, a 30-year-old production assistant and former Navy serviceman. The Porsche roared into the darkness. Investigators estimated the car was traveling between 132 and 140 miles per hour on a road with a 55-mile-per-hour limit. At that speed, headlights cannot reveal danger fast enough. A small curve becomes a wall, and a single wrong movement can become irreversible. Then the Porsche left the road. It crossed the shoulder, struck trees, and was consumed by flames. Both Dunn and Hartwell died at the scene. Toxicology results later showed Dunn's blood alcohol level was more than twice Pennsylvania's legal limit. The man who had survived countless dangerous stunts had taken one final risk without a safety crew, protective equipment, or a second chance. Fans were stunned. Friends were devastated. But behind the celebrity headlines was another painful truth. Zachary had placed his life in someone else's hands. Ryan Dunn's story remains a brutal warning. Danger may look entertaining on camera, but when alcohol, extreme speed, and real roads collide, there is no punchline, only consequences. Henry Ruggs III and Tina Tintor. Henry Ruggs III had what millions of young athletes dream about: NFL fame, a multi-million-dollar career, and speed that made him one of football's most dangerous rising stars. But before sunrise on November 2, 2021, speed became something far more deadly. Ruggs climbed behind the wheel of a Chevrolet Corvette Stingray after a night of drinking in Las Vegas. Ahead of him was 23-year-old Tina Tintor, driving home with her dog, Max. She had no warning that a sports car was closing in behind her at an almost unimaginable speed. The Corvette reached 156 miles per hour. At that velocity, the road becomes a tunnel. Reaction time disappears. Every second covers the length of a football field, and one ordinary vehicle can become an unavoidable target. Moments before impact, Ruggs reportedly slammed on the brakes, but it was already too late. The Corvette crashed into Tina's SUV with devastating force. Ruggs and his passenger survived with injuries. Tina and Max did not. Investigators later reported Ruggs's blood alcohol level was approximately twice Nevada's legal limit. In 2023, the former Las Vegas Raiders receiver pleaded guilty to felony DUI causing death and misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. In a single night, an NFL career disappeared, a family lost its daughter, and a young woman paid for a decision she never made. Henry Ruggs's story leaves a brutal warning. At 156 miles per hour, you are not controlling the danger. You are only deciding who it reaches first. Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin had survived alien battles and impossible dangers on the big screen. But on June 19, 2016, the 27-year-old Star Trek actor faced a threat no Hollywood script could have predicted: his own parked SUV. That night, Anton stepped out of his 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee outside his Los Angeles home. He was reportedly heading to a rehearsal and paused near the security gate. Then the Jeep began rolling backward. There was no roaring engine, no high-speed chase, and no time to escape. The heavy SUV moved silently down the steep driveway, trapping Anton between the vehicle and a brick gate pillar. When friends arrived after he failed to appear at rehearsal, they discovered the horrifying accident. Anton was pronounced dead at the scene. The case soon became even more disturbing. His Jeep was among hundreds of thousands of vehicles recalled because of an electronic gear selector drivers could find confusing. The shifter could return to its original position, making it difficult to recognize whether the vehicle was truly in park. A machine that appeared safely stopped could suddenly begin moving after the driver stepped away. Authorities officially ruled Anton's death an accident, but his loss raised frightening questions about design, warning systems, and dangers hidden inside everyday technology. Anton Yelchin's story proves that a deadly vehicle does not always need extreme speed. Sometimes, the greatest danger begins after the driver believes the journey is already over.